Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel today, and we are doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be playing The Sims, but we're going to be doing some building, and it's going to be a series where I do a variety of different things in The Sims and a bunch of indie games called Chill with Spring. And today we're going to build a house for a Sim in my current household save file, the O'Connors. If you know, you know. It's my beloved family that I've been playing since 2021, and besties. The drama that I'm about to tell you all today is about to get really juicy, so sit back, relax, watch the video, listen to the video. It's kind of like a podcast, if you will. So before we get started, I want to give you all a little bit of an introduction to Miss Serenity Ellis here. She is 70 years old, who lives in Willow Creek, used to work for the AD Foundation in Newcrest for several years with Aspen Diane O'Connor, fell in love with Royce O'Connor, had an affair with him, and then ended up having a baby with him. But the twist is, Royce doesn't know that he has a son who is around 30-something years old in San Myshuno, and he's also being sued by Miss Serenity for over 1 million simoleons and for unlawfully firing her from the foundation. But she looks happy, healthy, and excited. I love that for her. But today I wanted to do a little bit of a renovation and actually just remodel her house altogether. I want to keep the general structure of the home because I like how it looks, but I want to give her something new, something different for her in her new season of life. Especially this house is from 2014. It's very old and it just needs a bit of a touch up. So we're going to start with just the bare basics, and I'm going to delete everything. Personally, I do not know how long this video is going to be. So it's kind of like, again, a chill and build with me type of video. This will give you some inspiration for your own builds, possibly just kind of a way to wind down after a long day. If it's work, school, life, if you want to unwind and watch some TV or read a book while listening, it's kind of like a good way to do that. So we're going to just delete everything. I just feel like this house is a good decent size. Oh, hello. A good decent size for one sim and one sim only. I do kind of want to add a little bump out to it, but I think as of right now, we only have 25,000 simoleons, and I don't realistically want to add too many things. I'm going to delete some of the landscaping too, and possibly move this over here and then move the mailbox like right here. I technically don't even like the roof either, so I'm going to remove that and then also fix this monstrosity right here. One thing about base game that I'm realizing is that even though it is 11 years old, they never really went back and updated all the houses. Most of the houses that they updated were the ones that had Sims living in them. So, but the ones that were unoccupied were just kind of there and existing. So it felt kind of sad seeing the old ones get updated, but not the old ones getting updated, if that makes sense. So we're just gonna start with something like a very simple plain Jane roof. I'm gonna pull out the eaves like so, and then I'm gonna use a gabled roof like so over here. I think I want to make sure it's like kind of like intertwined into the roof where it meshes well together like this, and I'm gonna move it forward so we have that, and then I might move this back a little bit. Ooh, not there. One more. There we go. And we'll also do the same in the back area too, so it feels all put together. But now that I'm thinking, looking at this house, there could be something added to it on the side. I might move it over just like by a few squares. So let's move this house like so, just ever so slightly, just like right here. Because then if I want to add in a side yard, I have an excuse. And with only 25,000 simoleons to work with, we don't got much. So we're not going to try and break the bank here. I am going to use like a small little fence on the side, like right around here, which I think would be okay. Yeah, let's do this right here. We'll go right here, and then we'll go all the way just like over here. This could be like her little garden situation of some type. Like she's a gardener. She loves anything that relates to nature, but we'll go with that. Yeah, I think this will be a good little side yard for her. We'll just open it up just a little bit by 2, and then probably just add in a small little pathway from here to here, which I think will be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in some stone and pavement. I like that we have free terrain paint. It makes my day when terrain paint is free. So let's go ahead and take this terrain all the way over here. I might have to smooth out the edges just a little bit, especially on the front side here. The way I'm gonna make this affordable as possible is I'm gonna use a lot of Debug landscaping. The only problem is that Debug landscaping is not affected by the weather if you have seasons. So I'm like, maybe I'll just do a little something something here. Make it pretty easy, not over the top. However, I cannot promise anything. If you've seen half of my builds or all of my builds, you just know that nothing is simple. I don't know how to describe it. I just like making things look different than the original house. So let's go ahead and start with some Debug landscaping, my favorite part of the build and buy. So let's figure out what we can definitely use with this lovely little house here. It's not going to be over the top. It's going to be something simple and easy. And normally I have like my favorite Debug landscaping I always like to use. And I'm using, ooh, here it is. I like using Twisted Mexie's Better Build and Buy mod because one, there's organized debug and I can always go back to my favorites that I really like using. Like this little flower, this low laying flower right here is so lovely. It's nice. There's swatches to it that makes them more lush or like more dark green, but yet I still always revert to the dark. But I'm thinking I'm gonna go with something, more light. And then I'll use this little bush right here. I might just size it down ever so slightly and then move these back just a little bit. Let's go and add some more trees. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna go back to object by function because something that I tend to do in one of my save files is I like using the live edit like telephone poles. I don't know where exactly you can find those in the game, like just out in the world, but they exist. And I don't know exactly where they're located. Their base game, they might be in like the town square area in Willow Creek because it's categorized as base game. So I'm wondering, might be near the community lots most likely. Let's get rid of this tree. But I want something here, but I just don't know what. I'm gonna use about two things real quick. If I move it on this side, yeah, I'll just move this onto the edge of the lot and then we'll do this. I'm gonna use about two power lines and then raise it up. So tedious, but yet it's necessary for what I want to do. I just gotta make it work. I might have to size it down though. Yeah, if I move this like right here, just up one more right here, and then I get another one, size it down, and then I raise it up on to as high as I possibly can, I could make it work. It's intersecting. But then if I also size it down again, but move the telephone pole slightly closer, because this is like connecting, not really, but we can like make it connect. That's good enough for me. And then we'll move this closer so that way it looks like it's in the telephone pole. Yeah, we'll go with like that. And I think that looks pretty good for like realism purposes. And I want to add in another tree, but I'm thinking, what tree could I possibly add? So now that the front part of the house is basically done, I think it'd be a good idea to put some focus on the side of the house. And while we're doing that, I think it'd be a good idea to give you all some more information about who Serenity Ellis is, why she's here in Willow Creek, where was she born, why is she so connected to Royce O'Connor, Aspen, basically the whole O'Connor family, and why she's suing Mr. Royce O'Connor for over $1 million simoleons, especially why was she unlawfully fired from the AD Foundation? Because I think what we don't know about the O'Connors is that they go way, way, way back to like the 1800s, and I mean 1800s. So they're basically old money. At least Aspen Diane side of the family is old money. Royce O'Connor is a dirt cheap poor fool who was like money grabbing and like so obsessive over money and fame and fortune that he like lost sight of who his family actually is and manipulated Aspen Diane in every scenario. Let that be clear. That man cannot be trusted with a 10-foot pole. Trust me. You don't want to talk to him ever, ever, ever. But basically, The O'Connors are very old money, and Serenity and Aspen Diane actually are very good friends, or they were very good friends. They were born and raised in Newcrest, but didn't really notice each other until they were like teenagers in high school, where they were truly finding their inner selves. Serenity loved being, you know, part of the crowd, being like kind of more in the background, I would say. Whereas Aspen was like in the front line, always doing like what her mother was always doing. She wanted to become famous. She wanted to do something relating to social media or whatever, like public relations type of way. And the thing is, Serenity was always jealous of Aspen. Like low-key in the background, everything that Aspen was doing, Serenity was doing. She wanted to be just like Aspen, a carbon copy of her. She wanted to have all the fame, all the fortune, all the people to like fawn over her, and she wanted to be heard. She wanted to be seen. So this deep resentment that she has had for over 40 years, by the way, of Miss Aspen Diane resulted into them growing closer together. Realistically, Serenity was kind of manipulating Aspen as well. Aspen was very, 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 very naive in every situation. She never really had a say in her life. She never really had a say of who she wanted to be or where she wanted to go. She was always being told what to do or how to do it. Sure, she had like suggestions from other people saying, hey, you should try this because you're really good at X, Y, and Z thing. But lo and behold, she was like, okay, sure, why not? But the problem is, though, is that Serenity and Aspen, since they were best friends and they grew so close together, and they did everything. Prom, graduation, they were college roommates for about 3 years or so until Aspen did her own thing of like leaving college for a little bit and then coming back later. They joined the newspaper staff towards like their junior year. But here's the problem. Serenity was like, thinking, hey, Aspen, maybe I should join the newspaper staff as well. Like, you're so good at it, because she wanted to do public relations. Serenity had a degree path in communication, so in a way they all had the same stuff. But here's the issue. Like I said, if Aspen was doing something, so did Serenity. But when they joined the newspaper staff, Serenity was kind of like just there in the background, but Aspen was like editor-in-chief, like the head honcho, took all the control, made so many different changes where the whole staff was like loving her, but also hating her at the same time. But I think what resulted into the friendship growing even fonder is that they were co-workers together at a local talent agency in Newcrest. Once they graduated from Brightchester University, they moved back home to Newcrest, their beloved humble abode, and decided it'd be a good idea to go and work together. And this was like kind of like the first introduction where the jealousy grew even more, because Aspen wanted to become famous but didn't know how to do it. She never really asked her mother for advice. And I think what resulted into that, she was asked by her boss saying, hey, we know your mom, we know what she has done. Maybe you'd be interested in trying out acting and possibly acting in some local commercials for Newcrest here at the talent agency. She was like, I don't know, it doesn't seem right. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not really a well-trained actor or anything. And so Serenity convinced Aspen to do just that. Serenity asked Aspen, saying, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should join, do this like acting thing with you. And Aspen was like, I don't know. I mean, I love you, Serenity. I love you so much, but you're not really that good. And it kind of like made her a little bit like, wait, what do you mean I'm not good at acting? Like, neither are you, Aspen. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you don't know where to even begin with all of this. And it's like, Aspen was like, yeah, sure, I know I'm not like good at acting, but my mom is an actress and like it just comes natural to me. And so she got like a little bit defensive about all that and made it realize that maybe their friendship is not what it seems. And Serenity was like, you know what? If you think I'm a bad actress, then you just go ahead and do it yourself. Don't let me stop you. And so it kind of like got a little bit bitter, closer and closer. Where's that beat? Here it is. I'm like, where's the beatbox? But yeah, it's like when Aspen was like, okay, sure, why not? I'll do it. Because if If you can do it, then I'll do it because I know what I'm doing. Realistically, neither of them know what they're doing actually at all. But I will say Aspen had a very natural born talent for it. She starred in commercials promoting local concerts, residencies in Newcrest, also like other festivals and local farmers markets. She just did basically everything. She was the face of Newcrest at that point. And so when she was doing all of those commercials, it got a lot of media attention over the years while working there. And that's when she later got the offer to star in a 10-season long medical drama show in Del Sol Valley, which gave her the inspiration to not only pursue medicine, like biology, medicine, become a doctor, like a real life doctor. Because being on the show, it gave her that inspiration to get another degree, start her foundation, the AD Foundation, and also help others in need, whether it was people in schools, the unhoused, first responders, because she always admired the people that were doing those things day in and day out every single day. Like those people were helping others in need, and she wanted to be just like them. Not because of the fame and the recognition, but it was like on a deeper level. And I think what made me so happy about Aspen that she really did care about the people that were helping her, but also supported her when she was growing in her fame. And so when she started her foundation, kind of like midway, it was like seeing like season 5, 6, I would say, of that medical show is when she decided to ask her best friend, confidant, somewhat little enemy here, Miss Serenity Ellis, to join her in her foundation, not as like a co-founder, but just as a person who would work for her, like her assistant, you know, communications director and everything, which did actually help Aspen's career. Like her fame grew so fast because of what Serenity did for her. She gave her so much spotlight, so much love, so much recognition for the things that she was doing. And the foundation was a charity foundation, so they would raise funds for the unhoused, schools, teachers, first responders, anything and everything that would help other people. And so it made, you know, the foundation look good. And in the midst of all that foundation, Royce actually comes into the picture into all of this. Royce was the one that actually was a PA on the show that Aspen was working on. And being a PA is a production assistant, if you don't know. And this is like kind of sketchy on so many levels because Royce is, he's money hungry. Like I said, money hungry, likes to take advantage of people, their money, their fame, their everything, and kind of manipulated Aspen on so many levels that you have no idea. But I'm going to tell you. Now, you know who introduced Aspen to Royce? Miss Serenity Ellis. And you know how Serenity knows Royce? Not because of PA. Serenity and Royce used to date back in middle school. And here's the problem. Serenity kind of blocked out this entire memory of Royce, you know, of them dating because it kind of ended very tragically and bad. But he was like kind of like the Don Lothario of Newcrest, but he lived in Brindle Bay. But the only way they found each other again in their new season of life was because Royce went into like the schooling of like communications, like public relations, social media, like things like that, which made him a PA at the lower level. And sure, he was like the best worker of all time, but he had some work ethic that gave him that push that he needed to get ahead in life a little bit more, if you know what I mean. So Serenity was like, hey, Royce, what are you doing here? Like, I didn't know you worked here. And it was like, oh yeah, I've been working here for a couple of years as a PA, and I love the show. I grew to love the show over the years, and I wanted to be a part of it in whatever I could. So being a PA was like a good first step. He didn't want to become an actor at all. Like he didn't like the idea of acting and being in front of the camera like at all whatsoever, which makes sense for Royce and how he usually is. But I will say though, when Serenity and Royce kind of like got back together, even though their breakup was very bad, they ended on like good terms. Like they were like, I hate this, I hate all this, but I want to remain friends. And so I feel like Royce kind of like thought about the idea of getting back together with Serenity, but Serenity didn't want to be with Royce because he's like a sleazy scumbag that cannot be trusted with anything, let alone money or relationships. And since Serenity was so jealous of Aspen for so many years, she wanted to get back at Aspen for kind of just taking the high road and saying, yeah, I'll just do what I want. You're not good at this. You're not good at X, Y, and Z thing. She was tearing down Serenity for so many years, but Serenity wanted to be just like Aspen so bad that she couldn't see the bad that Aspen was doing to her. Mentally, she was doing so much bad. I think I want to add in a bathroom like right here. Yeah, there we go. I think I want to make this a hallway, kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom. That looks good. But yeah, like I said, when Serenity gave Aspen the idea saying, hey, you know, you're doing pretty good with this acting thing. I love your work. I love what you're doing. Maybe you should step up your game a little bit, Aspen, and possibly, you know, start dating, because Aspen has never dated. Like, she just didn't like the idea of dating, and her mother thought like dating was like just a bad thing, would ruin her image, the family's image, and just all things bad, basically. So she thought, okay, I won't date anyone ever. So she was just kind of like a single Pringle for the rest of her life until she met Royce because of Serenity. Serenity was like, hey, this guy over here named Royce O'Connor, or like, I think his last name originally, because Royce took Aspen's name in the marriage just for status reasons. His last name was Royce Henderson. Yeah, Royce Henderson was his last name. But basically, Royce, he met Aspen, loved what she was doing. Aspen didn't really know Royce in the beginning because he was like just there in the background, like I said. But I would say they hit it off really quick, not only because of his good looks, but for his charisma, the way he upholded himself. He was so confident and so self-aware and self-assured and confident about what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go, how he wanted to do it, and like if he wanted to start a family or not. Now, Aspen never really had an idea of like really dating anyone, let alone Royce, because she was a little bit nervous about the idea that she was going to get taken advantage of because of her fame. Even though she technically was by Serenity after so many years, but she thought about in the back of her mind, like, what would my mother think? What would she say? And her mother would say, don't date, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get taken advantage of. And she didn't listen. And she was a rebellious person to begin with anyway. Aspen was. And I will say Aspen was like thinking, okay, I'll date Mr. Royce O'Connor and think for myself for a change. And thinking for herself didn't pan out very well, as we know. If you've seen the videos, you know. But when Aspen and Royce got together, because they were, you know, he was a PA, she was an actress on the show. This is like kind of around like in the like 70s. I will say all this happened in the 70s, like late 70s, I would say. Midway through the show. And Aspen and Royce grew closer. They got engaged very quickly. And they were so close to the point where they decided to go ahead and have a baby. And this was like in the 80s. I will say this was in the 80s where Aspen Marie was born. Aspen Marie was born in 1981, and she was born and raised in Brindleton Bay. This was actually, born and raised in Brindleton Bay in 1981. That was where Royce was born and raised. He lived there, and so that was Aspen's first childhood home that she grew up in and knew to love the world of Brindleton Bay. She's really good friends with Brant and Brent Hecking. They still live in Brindleton Bay. I think they have a brand new dog, I'm pretty sure. I gave them a whole makeover and they look gorgeous, I will say, gorgeous. But I will say when she got to know the world of Brindleton Bay, she went to school in Brindleton Bay. She decided to go ahead and go to high school in a different area in Copperdale. That's when she met some of her other high school friends that eventually became her college friends. She went to school for medicine because of her mother, because her mother, Aspen Diane, was like, hey, Aspen, you got to keep up with the image. You got to keep up with the family name. You're going to go to school to become a doctor, not an actress, because Aspen Diane just knows the turmoil, the pain, the suffering that she has dealt with over the years because of being an actress. I think I don't want to get this. I think I want to do a different thing. Let's do this. No stove for this house. There we go. Just make it white. There we go. But yeah, basically Aspen Diane influenced Aspen Ray for so many years. Again, manipulated her entire mindset on life, how she was going to live, how she was going to like dress up, how she was going to do X and Y and Z things to keep the family name pristine and good. But the problem is though, in the midst of starting the foundation, this was like in, like I said, the 70s when they started the foundation, halfway through, Royce, Aspen Diane got married, had Aspen Marie in like 1981. But here's the problem. When they were all married and happy-go-lucky, Miss Serenity was still by her lonesome, living her best life, or so we think, living her best life, as still working at the foundation. So when Aspen and Royce got married, he signed a prenup, changed his last name. He eventually owned half of the foundation, which was not a good idea. Serenity was like, hey, let me just tell you a bit of a secret about Mr. Royce here. He's not a good man, can't be trusted. But did Aspen listen? No, she did not listen at all. It's like, you're crazy. You're making no sense whatsoever. And to get back at Aspen, she ended up just trying to seduce Mr. Royce O'Connor into just persuading that, yeah, he can't be trusted, and wanted to basically kind of catch him into the act of saying, yeah, this is the man that you're married to. This is the man that you actually had a baby with. He can't be trusted for these reasons. And this is why. They loved their house. They loved their little space. They moved out of Brindleland Bay, kept the house, and moved to Newcrest. And that's where Aspen and Royce and Aspen Marie all lived. And they loved their space. They loved their home. And so I think what made me so happy about their relationship is that in one way, he was genuinely very nice to Aspen Diane and really cared for her, loved her, gave her everything she needed and wanted, allowed her to pursue her dreams, and made sure that her dreams were achieved in any shape or form. Anyway, let's go ahead and add in some other extra stuff, but let me probably add in the bare necessities, like the actual bedroom furniture, and then probably the bathroom stuff, and then kitchen stuff. But let me go ahead and add in the bare necessities to this house. Let's go ahead and use some of the new bed stuff that we have. We're gonna do a double bed. I think I'm gonna go with the Yeehaw Pack bed. And I love that this house is a 20 by 15. It is not too big, it's not too small, but just the right amount of size, and it doesn't cost your Sims a fortune to live here. By default, she already had like 20,000 simoleons, so it wasn't realistically bad in like pricing wise. If I deleted the entire house, oh, she would be more broke than she already is now. I'm probably gonna give her some starter funds just because I think that'd be helpful for her, if at least start with something. But let's do over here. I might add in a little ottoman. I think ottomans are really nice to incorporate into a bedroom. I forget that they exist sometimes because I don't really get that many of them, but I think they would be nice to incorporate into a bedroom or a living room or wherever you want to put them. I'll put this at the edge of the bed. There we go. There was a thing that I used to do in all of my builds, mostly smaller builds like this. If I wanted to incorporate like a desk into a house, but I could not fit it anywhere into the house, I would try and squeeze in a desk, but like move it, place it onto the bed where it would be functional. And it worked. It all worked in its favor, and I was not mad. And I did it almost in every build. But now I don't do it because now I think logically sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes, about like what kind of style of house I want to build that day or what I want to incorporate into my houses. None of my builds are ever the same. Sure, they might have like that same similar architectural style, suburban, but on the inside is like a whole completely different thing. So there's always like that and figuring out the balance between the two. I think I want to probably add in a different rug. Yeah, let's add in a different rug, probably from the Book Nook kit. Ooh, that's a big rug. No, thank you. Life and Death. See, I want to have a big rug that fills in like the entire space of the room, but nothing that's too big. So I might have to go down further into the catalog to find a nice looking cheap rug, because the one that I really want, I do like this one. This one's really nice. I could always go with old reliable and go with the base game rug. But where's the fun in that? If we're gonna be yeehaw, we gotta stick with the yeehaw base game. What did I just say to myself? Ooh, you know what? It matches. We're leaving it. Base game never lets you down. I'm telling you, it never will let you down. Never will let you down. Let's use a nice little desk. We'll use the Yeehaw desk. I don't know why I'm using the horse ranch throughout this entire bedroom. I just like horse ranch a lot, so I tend to use it quite a bit. I'm gonna use the high school year's desk. I don't really want to add in a computer, but I think adding in a basic 800 simoleon computer will be fine. We'll add in some books right here. And then on each side, I'm adding in plants. It solves all of my issues, all of my problems, and I think it works in my favor. So let's add in a plant, not that plant. Ooh, let's add in this plant right here. And then on the other side, I think will be a lot better is adding in one of these right here. I'm doing this thing where I'm adding in like a reading lamp. Even though most of my Sims don't read, I think it adds a nice little touch to the corner of the room. Without making it too crazy. I think what will be helpful if I move this on this side and then I add like a little chair right here, probably from Horse Ranch, right here, I think that would look a lot better, especially in this swatch. And then on both sides of the end tables, I can add in the lights that I want to incorporate, which will be from Horse Ranch most likely. At this point, should I've just built in Chestnut Ridge? Probably so, but I would spend forever and a day in that world if we were here. Realistically, this video would have been like 3 hours long, but then again, I also don't know how long this video is going to be. For all I know, this video could be like 30 minutes or an hour, and I think this looks okay. Now, Miss Serenity doesn't have any grandkids, but she does have like a 30-year-old, somewhat 30-year-old child. So in a way, she has a kid, but just not a child kid. So we're just gonna make do as what we have. We're gonna just use the couch instead. I'm gonna add in a little rug in the middle because I think it'll tie in the space a little bit better. We'll size this one down. And we'll go with, no, I like the orange. I like the bright orangeness of this. Now, I think for the middle part, what I want to do is probably add this coffee table from Horse Ranch. 1, it's 70 simoleons, and 2, it just looks downright nice. We're going to make it more of like a tan. I think I want to go with this color right here. This color of the fireplace will be more tanner to fit the couch. And I guess I could make this look more tan as well. We'll change the rug to fit the style. And I might switch this rug with something different. That was 110 simoleons, my goodness gracious. We do have a lot of rug options, but they're not always good. So I need to figure out, maybe laundry day stuff will come in clutch. Good old reliable never hurts ya. It's always there when you need it the most. Yep, that looks good. I think I'll go with that then. And there's a desk in the bedroom. But then over here, I could probably squeeze in like bookcases. Yeah, I could do that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add in a row of bookcases if I got the money. Or you know what? Yeah, on this wall right here, what I'll do is add in probably like a 1 shelf bookcase from the Book Nook kit. I like that kit a lot because it's like modular. You can do whatever you want with it. But then the idea is I could do this and then just do that. Bada bing, bada boom. We've got 2 bookcases stacked on top of each other. So I think we'll work with that. And then on the other side of this, I'm going to add in yet another plant. Plants are just a staple that we must have in every house. And since technically Serenity has an adult child, we don't really need to incorporate too many things for like kid wise. So I'm going to add in a little piano right here. I'm going to make it brown. Oh, hello. Make it brown over here against the wall. And then over here, we have a trash bin, but I'm going to move it on this side instead. And then I might close this off and then add a spandrel in the middle. So let's get our columns. 1 here and 1 there. And then we're going to add a wall in the middle of it. Get this spandrel. I'm going to re-add in these walls once more. And then we're going to go from there. Perfect. And we'll copy this and put it on the other side. Yeah, I like this. I like the little area. It's open, but yet cluttered. cluttered with a purpose, if you will. We're gonna add in some more clutter later, but I want to make sure I have like the bare necessities in the house before we kind of get a little bit too crazy. I've done so many budget builds and 10-minute builds, so I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, let's not get crazy. Add in the basics and then you're good to go. So that is what we're doing today. We're gonna add in the basic toilet. I'm gonna add this one in here. I'm thinking that we'll need to incorporate like a shower tub combo somewhere. So I'll put the toilet here. And then I will add in, well, maybe just a tub. A tub doesn't hurt, so I'll add the tub here. And then the sink can go, ooh, it's gonna be a bit of a toughie. And then realistically, I can add in the sink right here, because Sims go on this side when they enter in and not this side. So we are okay with having it wherever we want. And I'm gonna swap that out because that was expensive. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then we'll put the sink right here with a mirror right on top, and then we'll add in all of our debug. This is where I thrive. Okay, we'll add in the plunger here. We'll add in some soap right here, toothbrush, a little toy on the edge of the toilet, a little toy on the edge of the bathtub, not a toilet. We'll add this up here. Ooh, that's pricey. We'll add this one instead above the toilet in a brown color. We'll need some type of like decor beside the tub. Right here, let's add in one robe. We'll also add in a little rug. We'll add in this one from Get Together. It's giving old and dingy. Yeah, we'll add in this rug from Get Together because it's a nice looking rug. And we'll change the color to more of like this dark blue right here. That looks pretty okay. There's no windows in the bathroom, but I think having one at least wouldn't hurt. Yeah, and I think across the board on this side of the house looks pretty okay. We'll add another one on this side near the entrance area. I was like, is this even? It is. I don't think adding in a curtain wouldn't be bad. Let's add in ooh, that's a small curtain. We'll add in the one from Parenthood instead, unless we can get away with this one, and we can. We'll go with this one right here. We'll figure out the rest of the room when it comes to like the wallpaper situation later. But let's work on the hallway. And I think now I remember where exactly I left off on the storyline. So like I said, Royce dated Aspen, married Aspen, had a baby with Aspen, dated Serenity back in middle school, broke up in junior high, and then kind of parted their ways and did all their other things that they usually do. But here's the twist. Like I said, in the middle of them owning the foundation, Aspen and Royce had a bit of financial trouble. What Aspen did not know is that he has a very, very, very dark past of money issues. He tends to gamble his money away and utilizes that to get ahead in life, to buy these fancy clothes, fancy furniture, fancy cars. He lost all of that like way, way, way before he met Aspen. So it was kind of all like a cover-up situation type of way. So lo and behold, when they got married, he had all this financial debt, but Aspen had no clue, like whatsoever, about this financial issues they were having. Oh, I want this one. There we go. But basically, when they got married, had all this financial issues. Aspen had no clue about it whatsoever, but Serenity knew about the financial troubles because she was at the wedding. She was in charge of all the planning of the wedding, the finances, everything. That's how much Aspen trusted Serenity. And that's where it went downhill. They were so close that Aspen was off doing her own thing with her own, business and life, that it was just, Royce and Serenity together, hours on end, spending all their time together. They got too close that they ended up having a little secret love affair for several years. And I mean several years. At this time, Aspen was like 7 years old at this point in her life, and she was trying to figure out where's my dad, and they kind of like all lost touch side of like wondering where's all this going, what's happening with the foundation. People were getting fired, people were leaving, there were arguments, there were lawsuits, and these lawsuits that were happening, who covered them up? Serenity covered up all those scandals, all of those law issues. She was the one that fired half of the foundation staff, hired new people that wouldn't cause any trouble. And little did she know, she was caught in the crossfire because Royce, again, had an affair with Serenity and a few other people, the staff members here and there. He also fired several people in the foundation as well, which made it even worse for Aspen and then Aspen Marie. And I just think that it just went downhill when Aspen Diane found out about the cheating scandal through the tabloids, because they were so dumb. They were so dumb. Royce and Serenity decided that it'd be a good idea to go ahead and like hang out a little bit outside of like, you know, the foundation grounds and everything, and eat a little lunch. Well, Miss Aspen Diane was like in Tartosa, just like hanging out with her other extra extended family, just for funsies. So what Royce had to do is fire Serenity to avoid any other scandals against, you know, Aspen Diane. And they had a kid together, so he didn't want to ruin the relationship or anything. Plus, he didn't want to get, you know, he didn't want to lose all that money that he had gained from being married to Aspen Diane. And I think when it kind of all became finalized in the situation in the relationship is that Aspen was going through a lot of like medical things that kind of result into her going to the hospital a lot, and it was like a lot of sadness. And I don't want to get into the nitty gritty or anything, but it was definitely very bad. And so I feel like when she was passing, Royce had to take care of Aspen Marie. And when Aspen Marie was getting a little bit older, around like she was like 10, 11, getting close to her teen years, it made the family dynamic even worse between Aspen Marie and Royce. They weren't speaking to each other. They were getting in arguments quite often. And it boiled down to literally Royce running off with Serenity for a couple of years. Left Aspen Marie high and dry, where she had to live with not her extended family, but a family friend. And this was, I think, I forget what her name, I think her name was Diane Foreman or something like that. Her last name was Foreman. And she lives in Newcrest. So she stayed with her for a long time, and she was like a second mother to Aspen. And I think it just made life a lot easier because she wasn't around her father, and she didn't want to be around her father at all. And I think lo and behold, what made matters even more worse, a couple of years later, what we found out, the foundation was still running because the finances were doing somewhat okay. Not too bad to the term of like, and like not too bad to the point where it was like everything was going to go into shambles, and it eventually did actually. But when Aspen Marie decided to go to university and become a doctor just like her mother and not an actress, she didn't want to use her nepotism to get ahead in life. She didn't want to use her fame, her family name or anything. So she kind of hid her last name from the college applications and kind of lied a little bit. But it didn't make matters even worse. It just made things a little bit more difficult because she had a hard time. She was having a hard time how she wanted to navigate her adulthood. And so here's the problem. Another problem in this scenario is that when Serenity and Royce were like together after the passing and everything, I mean, Major O'Connor was already born. She was a child. He was never really around when Royce was around. Serenity had to hide so many things in their apartment in San Myshuno for so many years when Royce was coming over. It was just bad altogether. And I believe personally what made it even more difficult is that Royce kind of left and decided to kind of just be by himself. Move back to Brindlin Bay, live his best life, cut ties with Serenity, cut ties with literally everyone, to the point where we didn't know he actually existed anymore. And I think what made it super sad is that, of course, Aspen is like now like 44 years old. She has the worst family dynamic ever to her, like close to her father. And so does Serenity. Serenity hates Royce. And that's why she is suing him. After all these years of one having a kid together, working together, and then lo and behold, kind of just doing almost everything for the past 40 years, she is now suing Royce for over 1 million simoleons. And like I said, he was using the foundation's money. He was taking money from the foundation every couple of years, put the money back as soon as things were like okay in his personal life. But it was like maybe like every 3 years, money was going missing. Serenity was asking herself, what's going on? This is a little bit odd, a little bit strange. Like, why is money missing from the foundation. She asked Royce, because Aspen was out doing her work and whatnot, asked Royce saying, Royce, I need to talk to you about some stuff. And it was like, what is it now, Serenity? What is it, like, what's going on now that you need to talk to me about these questions? Like, everything's fine. Like, you don't have to worry. Like, he was being very shady, very skeptical about the whole thing. Like, he knew what she was gonna say, but just like kept dragging it on and thinking like, oh no, it's gonna be fine, whatever. She asked him saying, Royce, there's like over like 40,000 simoleons missing from the foundation's bank account. Do you know anything about this? And it was like, I don't know. I mean, money goes missing all the time. Maybe a grant didn't go through. Maybe something like just happened and we just like lost some money. And she's like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Like things like this happen all the time. Like this is not the first time that has happened. It's like, yeah, this is not the first time that has happened for sure. Maybe we'll figure out something. We'll figure out something. A couple months later, the 40,000 simoleons went back into the bank account and all went back to normal. But the other issue though is that, ooh, moving box. But the other issue is that I think what made it even more suspicious is that the account was getting lower and lower and lower as time was going on. Serenity really confronted Royce and said, I think I know exactly what's going on here, Royce. You're the one that's taking away all this money from the foundation, because I have a buddy who lives in like the rich parts of Delso Valley and told me that they saw you at the little clubby club gambling away a lot of money, like over 40,000, 50,000 simoleons each time. And he was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Connor has no clue what he's talking about. And Serenity was like, Connor? I never said his name. I never said anything about Connor. Like, how do you know Connor? It's like, and he's like, oh, Connor? Did I say Connor? Oh, I meant Steve. It was like, Steve? He was also there too. It's like, Royce, are you trying to say something without saying anything? And he's like, no. And out of nowhere, he just blurts like, you're fired. Fired her right on the spot. No pension, no nothing. Just flat out fired her completely, knowing full well that she was already in a very tough situation with like financial things going on in her life. He didn't know that she had a kid. That was his kid. So it made even things more worse in their relationship going forward. And I think what I truly don't understand is why Royce did what he did. He could have just said the truth. And sure, there would have been some bad blood amongst everyone in the foundation, but they would have resolved it. They would have resolved it. They would have figured out a way to like make matters easier. And sure, people would have left, and sure, people would have like probably caused a lot of controversy and mess around it, but it would have been fine if he just told the truth. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of things I want to do, but I just don't know how to do it, and I don't know where to start. Like, if you ever had any issues like that before in like your own Sims game of thinking, will this storyline work? Will this work for X and Y, Z reasons? Like, we just don't know until we actually try. So at this point in time of what I want to do for Royce is make sure that all legal things are set and ready to go for him to go to court, and also set and ready to go for Jack to prepare for those court cases, because it's going to be a long and ugly, lengthy process. Let that be known. It's gonna get messy really quick. Feelings will be hurt, things will be said, and it will result into somebody going to jail, which will be Royce. And I'm thinking he might have like some old people come by that may or may not help him escape, or some other things. I don't know. Not too sure just yet about that, but we'll figure something out eventually. But for Aspen, she's just taking her time. She's officially like kind of like retired, she's retired from her adult doctor career. She reached level 10 of that career, and it's officially done. I don't want to go any further with it, but I might wait until she's an actual elder to like have her retire, because I want her to get that pension every so often, so then she can get some money every so often while she's an elder. Because as an adult, you can't actually retire, which is very odd. I would think it'd be kind of nice if they could retire, or at least do some type of way where they could most likely like get something out of it without resulting in like other stuff. Either way, basically Aspen is going to retire eventually soon when she is an elder, and have her last final child. I'll have like a whole machinima about it. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, like when I film it. I don't know if I want to do like a machinima style or if I want to do just like a let's play casual type of way. I don't know. I'm nervous but excited all at the same time. Okay, so we are officially done with the entire house. I'm really pleased on how it turned out. I'm not mad that I did more than I intended it to, but I'm glad that it turned out decently good, especially everything is like functional and it works all perfectly fine. But lo and behold, this is the home. It's Serenity Ellis's home here in Willow Creek on a 20 by 15 lot. The lot value is 38,000 simoleons, and that's not that bad of a price. So in a way, it is technically a starter home. But to give you all a tour, we have our side yard over here for grilling, seating, chess scene, gardening, bee-boxing, water balloon stuff on this side. In the front of the house, we have the bike, the trash bin. I added in some seating over here, and then I also added in the bird feeder because Serenity loves birds. And then I also added a chair, a metal foldable chair in the corner because why not? But as for the inside, this is the general layout of what it looks like. We have your kitchen over here. I only added in the blender and then this space saver oven right here because I thought adding in an actual oven just sounded weird for Serenity. So I thought adding this in made good sense. Plus I haven't used it in a very long time. But we have our kitchen, small little dining room. I guess your breakfast nook, if you will. We have your living room over here, your little play area, got your bookcase, your decoration box. This is your entrance area. You got your mirror, you got your seating, some more clutter items, your washer and dryer, your security alarm, some photo albums. This is the one bathroom right here, and this is the main bedroom where Serenity will sleep. I like how it's simple, but yet elegant, but yet cluttered enough to give you all a story about Serenity and why she's living here. But the reason why she's living here is because she has nowhere else to go. Plus, anywhere she goes, she'll see Royce and the memory of Aspen Diane, and she does not want that anymore. She wants to move on and live her best life in her elder years. But this is the whole home, and I'm glad I did this. And for the gallery, it actually only costs your Sims 39,000 simoleons. Technically, if you place it on this lot, it's 39,232 simoleons. For the gallery photo, it doesn't look that bad. I think sometimes a gallery photo never does the house justice for any scenario, but I think having it where it's being placed, especially where it's well lit, it looks really nice. I like how well lit this area is on the side, in the front especially, and then of course on the inside it's very well lit for sure. Oh, let me paint this wallpaper right here. There we go. Yeah, very well lit, lots of things to do. You can even expand it if you wanted to as well. But Miss Serenity is just happy-go-lucky. She looks so stunningly beautiful, and I just love her vibe. Her family tree is literally just her and her son, Major O'Connor, father, Royce O'Connor, daughter, Aspen Marie, mother, Aspen Diane, her kids, Winston, Angus, and Leanna Diane O'Connor. She's about to have her fourth child. Winston's father, Sergio Romeo, death by freezing. That fool went outside in the freezing cold and died. Leanna and Angus's father, Jack Lee Collins. So the family tree is like so blended and all over the place, but I like how it is and it brings me so much joy. Aspen's brother is Anthony O'Connor. Anthony has a daughter named Bianca O'Connor. The mother does not exist just yet, but they live in Tartosa, and we're gonna visit them at some point with Aspen to meet her extended family, her uncle and her niece at some point soon. But that is the family tree thus far. Ignore Theodore Eston because he's not supposed to be here, but he's existing for now. But I think I'm gonna end the video off here for today. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this where I just do no face cam, it's just chill, I tell a story, and we just kind of go from there, kind of having a fun, chill time with spring. But either way, I hope you all enjoyed it. Go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe. Listen to my podcast wherever you get your podcast. hello spring, and I will see you all next time. Bye. I don't know why I just waved. You couldn't see me. Either way, bye.